You don't know what it's like to want something your whole life and to plan for it and to count on it and not get it, okay? Oh, shit.
Joan Holloway is the office manager at Sterling Cooper. She runs the secretary pool and handles most of the logistics that keeps the company running. She's one of the most iconic parts of Mad Men. With her sharp intellect and sassy retorts, Joan is considered by many people to be one of the best characters on Mad Men. Sorry, I mean the breast character. 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 Sorry, I mean the... Alright, I know Christina Hendricks doesn't like it when we talk about her looks instead of her acting ability. And jokes aside, we will be talking about more than just Joan's body in this section. But it's important to mention because Christina's physicality is part of why she was cast, and it changed the direction that Matt Weiner took with her character.
And then, you know, Christina came in and read it, and I was like, oh my God. First of all, I want to see these two women walking down the hall next to each other. Second of all, there was just this person there who had an agenda. It wasn't just all of a sudden it was a courtesan, you know? It was like someone just bringing her into, it wasn't just a bunch of jokes about, you know, let me tell you how the office works and this is what it's going to be and I'm going to be in charge.
Joan's beauty is her most defining feature, both to the people around her and to herself. Joan prides herself on being attractive and uses her shapely figure and her seductive charm to navigate the world around her.
My mother raised me to be admired.
Joan is a sex symbol, not just to us as the audience, but also for the characters in the show. She's compared to other beautiful women throughout history, like Cleopatra, and of course the obvious similarities to her contemporary, Marilyn Monroe.
Jackie? Marilyn? Well, Marilyn's really a Joan, not the other way around.
Joan represents the generation of women in between Betty and Peggy. Unlike Betty, she works and has casual affairs instead of getting married and raising children. However, her ultimate goal is still to find a man to take care of her. Unlike Peggy, who wants to be a career woman, to Joan, her job is just a stepping stone until she's finally ready to settle down.
In a couple of years, with the right moves, you'll be in the city with the rest of us. Of course, if you really make the right moves, you'll be out in the country and you won't be going to work at all.
Eventually, she achieves this goal. She marries Greg Harris, a handsome doctor who's on track to become a surgeon. On the surface, it seems like the perfect life. However, Greg turns out to be a piece of shit. Not only does he fail to become a surgeon, his insecurities about Joan's sexual history lead him to raping her at the office. However, despite all of this, Joan continues to stay with him to maintain appearances.
Are you ready to go? I don't want to miss our reservation.
No, of course not.
This gets to the heart of Joan's complexity as a character. She comes off so confident and assured about what she wants out of life. It seems like she knows everything and how to get it. But she's consistently wrong. Her life doesn't turn out the way she hoped it would, but even when she realizes that, she continues to sell others on the ideal that is failing her.
She's the most rigid and judgmental and self-confident, but at the same time she's wrong about everything, but she's still sticking to it and she lives by her decisions. And there's a wisdom there, but there's also a kind of like, there's a cruel reality that keeps smacking her in the face and she keeps ignoring.
Early on in the series, Joan is dismissive of Peggy's desire to achieve professional success in her own right. She continues to believe that she should put her energy into being attractive and finding a man. But as women like Peggy start to rise above her, we see the holes in Joan's philosophy.
Although, sometimes when people get what they want, they realize how limited their goals were.
She's given a job reading scripts and starts to enjoy work beyond just being a secretary, only for it to be taken away from her and given to a man. She's given a title promotion with more responsibilities, but no actual pay increase. And after leaving Sterling Cooper to assume her life as a housewife, Joan realizes that she actually misses the engagement of her professional work.
I just keep thinking about what's going on here, and I missed it too much.
There's a lot of parallels between Joan and Dawn. Both are extremely attractive and confident people who put on a front of success while internally feeling the frustration of failing to live up to their ideal. Their similarity is probably why Joan is the only woman, aside from Peggy, that Dawn has never showed an interest in sexually.
But no flowers from you.
You scared the shit out of me. Bert Peterson told me you were the one person in the agency I shouldn't cross.
Like Dawn, Joan strives for the idealized American life that is sold through advertisements like the ones they create at Sterling Cooper. But just like Dawn, reality does not live up to the ideal. Not only does Joan's marriage fall apart, leaving her a single mother, but she even prostitutes herself in order to secure a partnership at the firm.
You're talking about prostitution.
I'm talking about business at a very high level.
The irony, of course, is that Joan is a very talented woman. She's been keeping Sterling Cooper running for years without any of the appreciation or reward that the men around her get, despite the fact that she works way harder than they do. But again, because Joan is only prized for her appearance and sexuality, that is what ultimately lands her a position of power.
You know what? I'm sorry my accomplishments happened in broad daylight, and I can't be given the same rewards.
But even after she achieves some success, she's still beset by the sexism of her era. There's a reason her prostitution occurs at the same time as Dawn's Jaguar pitch about something beautiful that you can truly own. Because she's beautiful, she's objectified and treated as something to be sexually owned, regardless of her own desires.
What do you do around here besides walking around like you're trying to get raped?
Excuse me?
Even Peggy, a woman who has suffered through her own sexual harassment, still thinks Joan is essentially asking to be mistreated because of her looks.
I don't know. You can't have it both ways. You can't dress the way you do and expect...
How do I dress?
Which, by the way, isn't true. Joan is never shown throughout the series to be dressed provocatively. Matt Weiner actually made a point that Joan would always be covered up at work in outfits that could be worn at church. But again, because of her curvaceous body, she's sexualized even when she does nothing but exist, which says more about the people viewing her than it does about the character.
But my philosophy was unwrapping the package. That was the sex appeal, that there was all of these layers, and then underneath it were Joan's breasts. But she's dressed like a nun. It's form-fitting, and you see it, but she is always wearing something you could wear to church.
After being bought out by McCann Erickson, Joan is forced out of the company after refusing to back down to the harassment of the men around her. She eventually ends up owning her own production company, using both her maiden and married names as the name of the firm. Joan has become her own boss, and like Peggy's story, it's a very feminist and empowering ending for a woman who has gone through so much to get to where she's at.
We won't answer to anyone. It'll be something of ours with our name on it.
However, like Peggy, I also do have problems with her storyline in the final season, namely with her love interest Richard. She meets this guy, they start a relationship, he breaks up with her because she's focusing on her work, he comes back to her and says he accepts her work, and then he breaks up with her again because she starts a new company.
Richard, wait. You're being silly.
Good luck, Joan.
It's just such a weird and inconsequential storyline. I think they wanted to give her a she don't need no man storyline to go with her ending, but it just feels tacked on and pointless. And speaking of pointless romances, we should finally talk about her and Roger.
You are the finest piece of ass I ever had, and I don't care who knows it. I am so glad I got to roam those hillsides.
Joan and Roger have been having an affair since before the series began. In fact, the relationship was what led to Roger finding Dawn in that coat store. But despite the fact that two main characters are sleeping together, the relationship doesn't go anywhere. It's not even suggested that these are star-crossed lovers kept apart by circumstances. It's literally just an affair that kind of fizzles out when both parties move on.
We both know I'll eventually find a more permanent situation, and you'll find a new model.
Again, you would think that this would be a storyline. Joan and Roger in love, or at least passionate about each other. But there's really nothing here. Despite the fact that they sleep together one more time, and even create a life together, the relationship doesn't even attempt to go anywhere.
We made a baby.
Yes. And now it's some other lucky girl's turn.
Now, you could say it's a character reason why they didn't end up together. That perhaps they were too similar, or Roger was too immature or something. But honestly, it feels more like a dropped plot line than an actual meaningful part of the storytelling.
I'm not a solution to your problems. I'm another problem.
And again, it goes back to what I talked about at the beginning. Matt Weiner originally didn't have a storyline planned out for Joan like he did the other characters. He cast the role based on looks, and then took the character in a different direction than he had originally planned. But I can't help but wonder if the mess with these relationships is a result of those change in plans.
Did I know when I started the show, when I wrote the pilot, that Joan, in that first conversation with Peggy, that Joan would be a single mother, working woman? No. That's all little decisions, just like life, all along the way.
But either way, Joan is still an amazing character. Her good looks can distract from the fact that she's an intelligent and deeply nuanced character. She might be beautiful, but she's not something to be owned. She's a jaguar.
But a woman you can't have. Because they have all the qualities of a jaguar. Good looking, expensive, fast, and frankly, not practical.